preparation, MO inlay on tooth number 18. So an inlay is essentially very similar to an amalgam or a composite cavity preparation. But the most important difference is that this preparation is a little bit wider, and it's also, most importantly, divergent. The opposite of that is true for an amalgam or a composite cavity preparation, where you'll have a convergent cavity which is convergent occlusally. For an inlay, it needs to be divergent so that you can insert it as it is fabricated outside of the mouth and then cemented inside. So the beginning of your cavity preparation is very similar to an amalgam or a composite cavity, where you can use a 330 burr and first start off with your occlusal cavity preparation, go through your central groove, and then your developmental grooves like your buccal and the lingual grooves, and then start creating your proximal box. So at this point, we are basically just creating our occlusal cavity. The depth of the cavity we're looking for is 1.5 to 2 millimeters. So now we're switching to a 245 burr, which is a slightly longer burr than our 330, but the same shape. And we're going to start preparing our proximal box. So our proximal box, the gingival seat area, should be just below the contact area, so you can break the contact and have about 0.5 millimeters of gingival clearance. We're also looking for about 0.5 millimeter buccal and lingual clearance. If it is slightly larger than that, it's still acceptable for an inlay cavity preparation. Now that we have extended to the depth we're looking for, and we have this thin shell of enamel, we can use that enamel hatchet and then just chip it off by doing this kind of movement. And then you can use the cutting edge of the hatchet to smoothen off your facial and your lingual walls and to flatten your gingival floor. At this point, you can switch to a diamond burr, a round-ended tapered Fisher diamond burr, and use this to diverge your walls and also to create a little bit of width to your cavity preparation as well. So you'll use this diamond to go across all the walls of your cavity, including your proximal box, and basically start diverging these walls and flattening out your pulpal floor as well. So the depth of your cavity should be ideally 1.5 to 2 millimeters, and the width of your cavity should be a little more than 1/3 of the intercuspal width. It can go up to a half as well. So you can see how we're leaning the burr on the wall and intentionally diverging all walls of the cavity. It is very important that you do not have any undercuts in an inlay preparation, so that when you're inserting your final restoration, you don't have any undercuts that's interfering with the seat of your restoration. As you can see, we're continuing to use this diamond burr to even diverge our proximal box walls and to round off the axiopulpal line angle. Once you've received a good amount of divergence using your diamond burr, you can now switch to an enamel hatchet to smoothen off your walls, and you can even use your enamel hatchet on the pulpal floor to smoothen that out and to round off your axiopulpal line angle. We've got a final outline for our inlay cavity preparation, so we're going to continue to use our hatchet here to smoothen off the entire preparation, create some differentiations where the wall ends at the pulpal floor. So you know that the enamel hatchet has two cutting edges. You can now see how we're using the second cutting edge to smooth off the walls of the occlusal cavity. Everything should be smooth and rounded in an inlay. You don't really have to have any sharp internal line and point angles like we do in an amalgam cavity. You know how we use the enamel hatchet in the proximal box to continue to create sharp line and point angles. We don't really have to do that in an inlay. In fact, you shouldn't be doing that in an inlay because these sharp internal line and point angles will end up defeating the purpose, and it would create stresses in your restoration, which could eventually lead to either fracture of your restoration or your tooth structure itself. Here's our final result. You can see the bottom of your walls when you look at it from the occlusal. So that's how it needs to be. It shouldn't have any undercuts. All the walls should be divergent, rounded. Even your proximal box walls should be divergent, and everything should be smooth and flowy.